saving people, hunting things, their family business. I think every supernatural fan out there knows exactly what I'm talking about. I think this phrase has been instilled in every single one of us since our childhood, or whenever we started watching this show. A show about two brothers doing everything they can to make sure their family can survive. A show about a bunch of brave men and women that forget their own lives and let go of their dreams to save other families. A show about sacrifice, loyalty, honor, and redemption. And today we're gonna plant the seed that is the idea of a supernatural video game. We're all familiar with a set of great books and video games about a big, beautiful universe that is in trouble, infested with monsters, protected by magic, and taken over by conflict and political rivalry. The world that has a very interesting constellation, a situation called conjunction of spheres, where multiple dimensions collide, causing monsters across all dimensions to collide with the elven homeworld. And in such turmoil and chaos, the Order of the Witches was created. Mages across all the realms gathered to create ultimate order, to control, or at least cull the monster population. Thanks to CD Projekt Red and all the great books and the Witcher show, such saga and the theme to destroy monsters, saving human lives and the world has gained substantial attraction. Of course, the thirst for such a world and such a lore have always been inside the people's hearts, and they always want more. Proof and fact is the show we're gonna discuss right now. But before we do that, let's talk about why such themes and stories are extremely popular and attracting to people. Well, put quite simply, it's a tale as old as time itself. People all across Earth have dreamed and written stories about the unknown, what is out there, and what cannot be seen or explained. Combine that with the theme of heroes, battle, honor, political intrigue, civilization, and the very basis of survival itself, then you'll realize why such a theme is quite engaging and enjoyable to everyone. And when it comes to gaming itself, the evolution of all arts, combining the classics such as writing, acting, storytelling, painting, and much more, and on top of that making them interactable, soon you will realize that calling the pinnacle of art itself games might be doing it a bit of disservice. How about interactable arts? No, I do not see that catching on at all whatsoever. However, one can dream. They dream to combine all these aspects, all these stories, all the ideas to our gaming and make them all interactable. It's a sensation not understood by many. However, it's an extraordinary experience only understood by gamers and no one else. And because of that, only gamers will understand why bringing the Witcher mechanics and all these features to the gaming industry is not only necessary, but why it's extremely sought out. Living inside a beautiful medieval world, defending your country, fighting monsters, saving people, and while doing all that, enjoy the beauty of not only the environments, but the story and all that this beautiful world has to offer you. Oh well, I don't have to tell you why it's such a engaging and enjoyable experience to have. And as enjoyable and magnificent the Witcher world and lore has been, it is not the full story. There is one more game people want. Or should I say, one more timeline. Supernatural is a TV series created by Eric Kripke During 2005, September 13th, the show debuted on Warner Brothers channel. It had a reasonable budget but a lot of passion. The casting was done, and finally, the two brothers, the main protagonists, were chosen as Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki. The first season rolled around, and it was a huge success, much more than the show had anticipated. People were really drawn to the likable protagonists, beautiful storyline, and a great lore, tying it all together, creating a masterpiece. The show's appeal ranged from great protagonists, beautiful storyline, but not limited to, by its horror aspects, combining it with action and comedy. You would think action horror and comedy would not mix together very well, however, we are proven wrong, as this is the perfect mix, creating a great combination, making the show enjoyable to watch for seasons to come. By the time season 2 rolled around, the show was extremely successful and the budget was dramatically increased. The production quality, although superb, now became spectacular, and soon the Supernatural series started to gather fans all across the globe. You might wonder, what prompted the people to support and love this show as much as they did? You might say it was because of their great Witcher-like and based lore and to hunt monsters and save the world. However, I believe it was mostly because of the duo protagonist, the brothers, that remind us that the only thing that matters in this world is family, the love they have for one another, and the lengths they will go to save each other and the world itself is what attracts people to this world and universe. Something so close to The Witcher and the relationship between Geralt, Eskel, and Roach. Speaking of Roach, you will find it very funny and extremely interesting that they have something similar when it comes to Geralt's horse, but for them, it's their car. Its significance is quite gargantuan, and soon you will find out why. Now you might ask yourself, is Supernatural really that close to The Witcher? Can it be a substitute for The Witcher itself, at least in the modern sense? Well, we're gonna find out. Their story, though quite different, focusing on family, hunting monsters, saving the world, the show's structure is a very attractive one. Each season has a main story that the plot continues to tell. However, it does not limit itself to just that storyline. It branches off with side quests and mini stories in different episodes, making sure the season's large number of episodes stay engaging and interesting. The same format we use when we play and make games themselves. Taking this into account, you find out that this format can easily be translated into video games. Unlike many other adaptations, storylines and books that could never be translated into gaming format, this one fits like a glove. The show shares a lot of aspects when it comes to the Witcher world and the supernatural one. From the most obvious, to the theme and the lore, to the least noticeable, and the little things, like the combat, exploration, and hunting itself. These are all very important aspects that Supernatural completely nails out of the park. What the Witcher games do for the medieval theme and the world, Supernatural does the same for the modern one. Although their storylines differ quite a bit, it's the theme and the settings that we are concerned with here. And these two universes not only complete one another, you could even say they exist in a parallel, meaning they fit so well they could actually be in the same universe but different timeline. This aspect makes sure Supernatural is a great candidate for a modern day Witcher. Its gameplay possibilities are quite unique and extremely diverse, making sure creating a game is as easy as it can ever be. Its world is full of mystery and the possibility of exploration is quite high, meaning an open world or a semi-open world area would make a perfect fit for a supernatural video game. Its gameplay, quite close to The Witcher, although with modern aspects, makes sure a modern day combat system is in order, and it can be as enjoyable, even more so, than what Witcher provided. The possibility of modern firearms and a Far Cry-esque game combined with The Last of Us and The Witcher 3 itself would be the perfect candidate. Actually, it can be so easily done that even replacing a few aspects of the existing Witcher 3 can actually make a supernatural video game. That's how you know this world are extremely similar and work in parallel with one another. You replace the medieval world with the United States, the ancient cities with modern cities, the horse with a car, which is a great theme inside the Supernatural series, an important aspect of it. Not only it is a placeholder for all your weapons, lore, books, research, and most importantly, your driving vehicle to get you all across this beautiful landscape, to hunt the monster blending within the crowds or hiding in the shadows. To this car being an actual home with four walls for the brothers or our protagonists to call home, their safe haven in their nomadic lifestyle. Not that the hotels don't exist, they also play a big part, but it's mostly the car. Now you will understand why in this universe your vehicle replacing the roach is actually more than what The Witcher 3 could offer, meaning an evolution when it comes to that aspect of the game. Seeing that Supernatural does not need to be the replacement or a placeholder for a modern day Witcher, but it can be an evolution to it. Well, after all these aspects, I'm sure you can figure out why this is a great idea for a modern day Witcher game. Now you might ask, does a modern interpretation of The Witcher or hunting monsters is as plausible or interesting as a medieval one? Well, my dear graduates of the School of the Wolf, I have to say, it is an absolute must. And the modern world can not only be as good a setting for a Witcher type game, but it can even be better. The possibilities can be endless. As the Witcher universe and the games are magnificent and the lore incredible, same can be done for Supernatural, and the modern day conveniences that we take for granted can actually be what the modern world Witcher needs to take the next step to greatness. The possibilities the modern world actually creates for the Witcher lore is quite extensive, to modern and more enjoyable combat, to driving, to modern cities, their beauties and possibilities, to their pubs, to their cafes, to their NPCs, even monsters themselves adapting to the new modern world can be very intriguing. Not to mention the investigation, the surveillance, from hacking to cameras, pretending to be the authorities like the federal agents or a police officer, and way more, can create opportunities not just for the gameplay, but for storytelling and mission design. This is why the modern world will be perfect for The Witcher. Now let's talk about the game ideas we all have had about this game for a long time. A modern day Witcher can share a lot of aspects with a medieval one. However, when it comes to its script, its gameplay, and its features, it needs to be quite different. Aspects such as driving, combat, including but not limited to long form combat like shooting, and close quarters combat need to be done excellently. Weight, animation work needs to be diverse, loud, impactful, and punchy. A shooting like Far Cry, with the weight and heaviness of The Last of Us. Same goes for its close quarter combat. borrowing from Red Dead Redemption or, again, The Last of Us. It's a good fit for combat designed for this type of game. However, since they are monsters, it also needs to take those into account, meaning we need close quarter weapons such as bats, machetes, swords, batons, anything necessary to take down our different foes, and animations be diverse enough to not only allow for that, but make them look realistic. A semi-open world, I believe, will work a lot more than a long and wide one. The reason being, Supernatural is played in the entirety of the United States. Every important city, every little town where the action and all the NPCs that are actually interesting is happening must be done right. However, since this is a modern day Witcher, modern conveniences, aside from driving and combat, must also be integrated into the modern hunting sphere. The inclusion of internet, libraries, long forms of communication, and of course, cell phones. I do believe inclusion of all these aspects in a realistic manner can be a very daunting task. So here's my 2 cents. I do actually believe the time period must be set during the 90s or even the 80s. The time where internet is very new, not accessible through phones, limited and a little hard to work with. Classic, nostalgic and interesting. The cell phones are just for that, calling. With these facts, research in libraries, using radios, and most importantly, interaction with NPCs who are actually living like human beings, instead of looking through phones and computers all day, not interacting with the universe or people, wasting the limited time they have on this earth, making life grey, uninteresting, and downright dead. And yes, I see the irony. I'm part of the problem. Taking all these aspects into effect, you would realize the game world and the timeline is much more interesting and enjoyable to actually play, benefiting not only just the world or the story, but the gameplay itself, making for a better playable game. This way, we can have the best of both worlds, the modern world and all its perks, without the downsides that we suffer today, or the ones that make development of such a game tediously difficult. Now you might ask with yourself, who will create such a game? Well, to that, I don't know. It could be anybody. Most would want a AAA studio such as Rockstar, CD Projekt Red, or God forbid, Ubisoft to make such a game. However, I do believe that should not be the case. Reasoning? I will throw Hogwarts Legacy at you, a game created by a almost completely oblivious, unknown, and to be quite honest, low-tier studio, making worries and fear for people waiting for a Harry Potter game run through their spine, thinking such a studio is actually creating the game they've loved and wanted for so long. However, proof is they create the best anybody could ever do, better than EA has ever done, or worse, has ever cared enough to. Despite their names, Electronic Arts do not believe in creating an art form in gaming. It's all about their greed, and we all know what they do with popular licenses. They see people love a license, they buy it, make it exclusive so nobody else can create good games for people, so they have total control, and then, seeing how much people love them, they still throw low budget, crappy studio and talent, and people with no passion to create those games in a very short and untimely manner. Despite knowing how much people love them, they throw no love at those games or the people. That's why I do believe even a small studio, but a studio with passion and talent, can create the best games in the world, and I do believe Supernatural should come from one of those. And one of the other benefits of the modern world is engines. Once they had to create their own from the ground up, taking years, time and money, but now they can get the best of engines with the best kind of graphics to run their games with barely a cost and an easy to learn systems. Be it Unreal Engine 5 from a smaller studio or a top tier studio with their own built-in engine, I do believe a game of such caliber, created with passion, can deliver what people want. However, it must be in some ways open world, it must have AAA quality in all aspects, especially combat and animation work. There must be diverse, and its databanks massive. Is why I believe a supernatural video game would be totally awesome. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next Immortal Gaming Show.